want to survive for my family. I have 2 kids. Let me open up. I will work. I will respect. I will, clean it up, sanitize everything, whatever. Please open up for nail salon.
And that is just one shop owner pleading to local officials to reopen her business. But while calls to reopen grow across the country, public health officials continue to warn that relaxing guidelines too fast might result in more deadly outbreaks, sparking, of course, a partisan divide. Joining us now to discuss, Seema Iyer and also Tom Borelli, both back again, both good to see you. Tom, that woman's response it just breaks your heart because you know how bad she wants to get back to work, how bad she wants to save her business.
No, absolutely. I mean, you really have to feel for the Americans. Look, I think it was something like 33 million Americans applied for unemployment insurance since the statewide shutdowns of the economy. That's absolutely tragic, and there's going to be a huge human cost to this as well. But we have to remember, we have to not let Democrats and anti-Trump media changed the debate here. The whole idea of these social restrictions and shutdown was to flatten the curve so that hospitals could deal with an influx of infections. We've done that. Now it's time to slowly and smartly allow these businesses to open. And also, when the virus came in, let's face it, it was a surprise. We didn't have enough personal protective equipment or ventilators. Because of President Trump working with the private sector, we now have those equipment. I think we have so many ventilators now, we're starting to export them, I think, to India. So we are much better prepared now. We have to be worried about the consequences of the virus, not the health impact, but really the social and economic impact could be far worse at this point.
Yeah, you mentioned those ventilators. I mean, Americans really did rally together to come together, use those resources to fight back and respond. But Seema, some people could make it out to seem as though if you want to get these businesses back open, it's because you don't care about those who could potentially be exposed to COVID-19 or could risk their health concerns right now. But there's more of a conversation to that, right?
Of course. This is an incredibly confusing, confounding problem between the economy as well as our health. And I'm someone who believes in individual rights. I think you need to give the people the information, the science, and the economy, and let people decide for themselves. It is up to us to be safe and act responsibly. But I think it's also really important that people realize that, and this was from that 60 Minutes interview from last night, Norah O'Donnell also spoke to the head of Prestige, who is saying, hey, he's been complaining about this for 13 years. Since 2007, America has not had the proper equipment in place. We were not ready for this pandemic. And like Tom just said, it was a surprise.
Yeah. Of course, as transparent information coming from China could have potentially helped earlier on, too. No questioning about that. But I do want to talk to you guys about this. The LA County Health Director, Barbara Ferrer, responding to criticism over her credentials. Ferrer said, quote, "I don't make decisions by myself," citing the collaborative process involved in leading the agency during the health crisis here. Was this backlash warranted here? Should people be questioning their officials, the medical experts in this situation? Tom?
Well, certainly. First of all, you have to question the decisions they're making, especially out in L.A. Number one, they haven't seen the numbers that we've seen in New York City. And also, you have to look at the educational background. I believe she has a Ph.D. in social welfare. That's a soft science. That's not a medical degree. That's not experimental science. That she knows probably very little about viruses, bacteria, infectious disease, but yet she's in a position of power. So what do people do in a position of power when they don't understand the underlying concepts of the threats? They panic. And that's exactly what she's doing and is doing, has done. And that's why you have people on the beaches in LA really protesting because of this huge overreach of government for someone who really is an overpaid bureaucrat.
Yeah. All right. Interesting conversation to have and fair to question these people in authority. Tom Borelli and Seema Iyer, stick around. We'll talk to you a little bit later on in the show.